Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our July 19th, 2021 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including some of the things happening around about Superman the movie or proposed ideas. We're going to be talking about the latest episode of Superman and Lois, comic books, your fan favourite Superman socks, and so much more. We're also going to turn to you to ask for your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss, and to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show. Let me introduce you to my co-host, the Prince of Podcasts, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Doing well yourself?
Oh man, it's been a really long day, but we're here to talk about Superman because WGBS Live is all about Superman, and because of that, we want to hear from the people that are watching us live right now on YouTube. So about halfway through the show, and if we don't have a whole lot to talk about, which tonight we got a lot to talk about, we're going to take your calls. So how does that work? Well, it is real simple. All you have to do is get on Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and message us that you'd like to be on the show. Now, a couple of things that are kind of important. One, you want to message us that you'd like to be on the show. Don't just call, because that can screw things up pretty bad. Also, if you are using an external speaker to watch WGBS Live, please mute that, because we are on a bit of a delay and that can screw things up.
Yes, so there are a few things there to take care of. And also, if you are watching live via YouTube, we invite you to join in the comments. All you have to do is post your comments, ask questions. Michael and I will react to those as the show goes on. And you can also chat with fellow people who are fellow fans who are watching the show live. And if you want your comment or question featured on the screen live as the show goes to air, that's called the Super Chat. All you have to do is click the dollar symbol. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate, and we'll feature your comment or question live on the screen. And we appreciate your support in that way. And speaking of support, thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And if you'd like to support the show, you can click the join button below. Well, Mike, it's been another interesting week in the world of Superman. We've had a new episode of Superman and Lois. There's some speculation about things happening around about Superman the movie. There's new comic books, solicitations, so much more. So we'll get into tonight's topics with the movie side of news. And from the top of the list that I've got here for things that we're going to be doing, there was a segment on Kevin Smith's what's his podcast called, Fat Man Beyond, or Fat Man Forever.
Yeah, Fat Man Beyond, something like that. Whatever he.
Fat Man Beyond, yeah. So
yeah,
his YouTube video that he does, he discusses that he was in discussions with either Apple or HBO Max. He can't really remember the details about it, a couple of years ago, about possibly being involved in writing a TV dramatization series about the making of Superman the movie. Your thoughts? Would this be something you'd be interested in?
It really depends on how they play it, and the only way they can really go is salacious. I don't think. Well, let's be fair. The making of Superman the movie was fairly dramatic in and of itself.
Yes.
And there's a lot there that could be made a meal of when it comes to turning it into kind of a cheesy, over-dramatic biopic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from making the Sulkins the villains, to Christopher Reeve getting picked up and almost punched in the face by Jack O'Halloran, to how everything kind of broke down and how they decided to go, bringing in Richard Lester. I just don't see how you could do that without making it cheesy and or overly gross. And that's just kind of my first, you hit me with this thought. That's my first thought.
Yeah, especially considering that most of those people who are the the topic of the movie or the dramatization are no longer around for them to have a right of reply. If it's done, correctly or not. I know that Kevin Smith says that he met with Richard Donner a couple of years back before he recently passed, obviously, about the idea, and he was really impressed with just how switched on, and his memory and everything was really there, even at 89 or whatever it would have been at the time. And look, let's be honest, there have been a lot of books written about and documentaries on the making of Superman the movie, and it is really fascinating, the stories behind the story. And we all know the dramas that Richard Donner had with the producers. We know the more interesting side from a fan of trying to find the actor to play the role, and who they went to, and some of the names that were thrown around, from Richard Donner's wife's dentist to Sylvester Stallone and many others who were considered for the role. The issues with trying to get the flying effects right. The stories with behind the scenes with a lot of the actors getting what's his name, played Lex Luthor, to shave his head. All these different stories that are really fascinating from a fan perspective. But then, you do have the more salacious, problems with, certain personalities and what have you, that would maybe make it a bit cheesy or a bit over the top. But it is fascinating to think about, these stories behind the stories.
Yeah, and I think really between the two making of, well, three technically, because they did a making of Superman 3 specials, but we're sticking with Superman the movie. So between the making of special from like 1979 to the one that was on the 2001 DVD release to the other one that was on the 2006 DVD release. And the 2001, to me, always struck me as kind of being more from Donner's perspective, whereas the 2006 one really started bringing in people like Ilya Salkind and Pierre Spengler, because as much as people like to cast them, or a certain segment of the, not people, but a certain segment of the fandom likes to cast them as the villains and Donner was the hero, they have a part in the story. That's important. And yes, they may have been a little underhanded, and yes, there was obviously problems between them and Donner, but I just get the feeling that the movie would feel like a collection of stories that you've heard from documentaries kind of thrown together. And I don't think it would flow.
No.
I mean, you can't do that in 2 hours. You can't do the search for Christopher Reeve and the making of the film and how that kind of broke down. It just doesn't feel right, in all honesty.
And some of the stories that are interesting to some may not be interesting to others, like how they do certain special effects. The cameras that they had to invent to do the front projection stuff. To certain fans like myself, that's really interesting, because I'm really interested in the technology of the day, and how today those kinds of things can be done at a fraction of the time, at a fraction of the cost. But for fans who may not be interested in that kind of stuff, that might be an element that would be lost to them.
I think what would be cool, would be better, is a documentary taking all of the interviews and footage that we have and kind of animating them, like doing little animatics, like animating the, Richard Donner describing the meeting with Marlon Brando, where he's like, "Good idea," because he always said deer. He always put an R on the end of it. It was really actually charming. But it's just like, I'd rather see something like that than let's find somebody who kind of looks like Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, indeed. So that is an interesting topic. Like I said, I don't think anything is happening with it anymore. It was just a kind of a throwaway comment and discussion on the Fat Man Beyond podcast that I found interesting, and I had people email me about. So I thought it would be interesting to see what fans thought of the idea. And most are like, look, leave that movie behind. You know, we've had enough about it. Let's push on.
I'm not gonna lie, Mind the Gap. I would totally do a drunk history of it.
A drunk history of Superman the movie. Interesting indeed.
Yeah, I would sit there and tell the story smashed.
Now, what would be your drink of choice?
I'd probably either do beer or I really like Mai Tais because Mai Tais, I kind of like them.
I'm surprised the amount of podcasts and shows like ours out there where people are drinking while they're doing them and it's actually part of their shtick.
I couldn't. I'd have to focus. I have the alcohol tolerance of a 5-year-old Amish girl.
As it is,
So,
most episodes you're yawning, so I can imagine if you're
yeah,
drinking.
but you see, to be fair, when I get tipsy, I'm very happy.
Oh wow!
So
for me, I'll be
I'm not a mean drunk. So there you go.
Now, speaking of Superman the movie, I was interested to see that Warner Brothers Entertainment posted a 10-minute full movie preview of Superman the movie on their YouTube channel. These are really fun to look at and to see what they do and don't include in these types of full movie previews. So here's just a bit of the intro of what they did with this.
Daily Planet Copter 1, this is ground. Planet 1, go ahead. Roger, we have Miss Lane here for a quick ride to Metropolis Airport and meet Air Force One. It's a hurry flight.
Roger, we're on our way over the river now and have you in sight. Have one aboard for transfer, over.
Roger, Planet 1, you're cleared to land. Wind 020 at 15, gusting, altimeter 29er 89er.
Roger, over and out.
So I'm just going to skip ahead a bit here. Obviously, we've seen this scene many times before. I'll just forward through it. Obviously, that's the saving the helicopter scene, and they go through that. And obviously, that's it's such a cool scene, and it's the whole thing of that 10-minute period of Superman saving Lois, and then doing all the different saves he does around the city, finishing off with. Officer Mooney. So yeah, that's a really good 10-minute preview of what's available in this little preview they put together for Superman the movie at the Warner Brothers Entertainment YouTube channel.
With the big red cape.
Bright red boots.
And bright red boots.
So yeah, that's a really cool 10-minute preview there, and if you were going to highlight something from that movie for people to watch, you couldn't do better than that 10-minute period right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to say, if you... Though I always look at that as like kind of here is your treat for sitting through the last hour of the film. It's not like the last hour of the film is bad, but you do spend about an hour of the film waiting for Superman to show up.
I actually was watching, I didn't get through it all, I think it's about half an hour long, like one of the millennials doing a video of her first time watching Superman the movie and her reactions to it, and yeah, it's interesting to see someone of this generation who hasn't seen Superman the movie sitting through it and watching it and being impressed and being moved and getting emotional about the death of Krypton. And I never buy too much into these reaction things because people put on a bit of an act while they're doing it. But I was interested to see when Jor-El placed the green crystal into the pod that she went, "Is that kryptonite?" And I went, see, why did they choose green?
Yeah, I think it's because the movie's effects are so good that even when they're obvious, they're still really good. Though, to be fair, I think Man of Steel's effects are going to hold up. Those are some pretty slick computer effects. I mean, it's not like the first Spider-Man film from 2002, which looked great in 2002, but you watch it now, it's like, ooh, some of that's... I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah,
but
And then Returns has the same problem.
Yeah, it looks like a video game in some shots. But Superman the movie, I mean, with the care they took with it and with the practical effects and just how good the flying looks. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did a reaction video and they were all snarky about it. But on the other hand, I'm not surprised that somebody watches it and they like it.
Yeah, indeed. Now, if you want to see Superman the movie and you're living in the New Orleans area of Louisiana, the Britannia Theatre, I think that's already gone. That was last Sunday, but I do know somewhere else is being. I've got it ready to post this coming week. Let me quickly check out the details for that for you. Superman the movie will be showing in the US on the big screen. Just looking for the details here. Here we go. I've got it here ready to post in St. Paul, Minneapolis. Is it there? No, that's something else. That was a garage door mural that I was going to report on soon. I'll get to that. Here we go. July 23rd to July 29th. Well, from the 23rd to the 25th, Superman the movie will be showing at the Normal Theatre in Normal, Illinois. Wow, imagine living in a place that was called Normal.
Yeah, that
strange name.
I think that would get boring after a while.
So Normal Theatre, Normal, Illinois, from July 23rd to July 25th at various. It's like 7 p.m. or 3 p.m. Check those that theatre if you're living in the area for those details. But yeah, you'll be able to watch Superman the movie at that location this week. John Patrick Van Pelt in the comments asked me about this next story in regards to the Superman 2 watch-along free online event that is being hosted by Lives in the Pictures. They did a Superman the movie one a couple of weeks back, so another free online event for Superman fans to watch along to Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, with Jack O'Halloran as a special guest. So yes, John, the question, is it a tribute to Richard Donner, is his super chat question there. It may well be. I imagine, they probably had this planned already, but considering that they moved on from Superman the movie and now are doing this one, and to have organised Jack O'Halloran as a special guest, but to watch the Richard Donner cut soon after the death of Richard Donner is probably a fitting tribute to the man himself. But I guess that this was probably already in place before they'd heard of his passing. But it will be taking place, here is the graphic for anyone who is interested, on Saturday, July 24th at 7 p.m. British Summer Time. So if you're interested, send an email to livesinthepictures@gmail.com with your full name and any questions you might have for Jack O'Halloran, because he'll be answering questions through that online event that will be taking place this Saturday. So if you're interested, those are the details. Send an email along to that email address.
Yeah, that's kind of exciting. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, but Jack, I know it's Jack's preferred. Like we talked to him once. I'm calling him by his first name. I know it's his preferred version of it. So, and it is kind of a fitting tribute at this point, because we're losing so many cast members of that movie. It's kind of sad to think that the director, Superman, and Lois, and Jor-El, and Susanna York, I think she passed away too. So we're just, it's time marches on.
Yeah, indeed. Just here, looking at the comments in the comment area there, regarding that story we published or spoke about last week in regards to this motion comic fan created thing that they were doing for the Justice League Snyder sequels, this motion comic film that the fans were looking to do. I believe it's been cancelled because Warner Brothers have put the kibosh on it, because this fan was swiping published comic art and tracing over the top of it to, allegedly.
They're getting so much. I mean, if it's true, they're getting so much more taking things down. It's getting pretty. It's getting more serious because it's now so popular. these sorts of things. So yeah, they're paying attention more and more. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, you're not going to get away with stuff like that. You get a big slap on the wrist if you're lucky, but beyond that, you could get cease and desist letters and legal action. So don't do it, fans. Just, stay within your laneway and abide by the rules. Pretty easy.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's move away from the movie side of things and look at the most recent episode of Superman and Lois, which aired last week on July 13th. The next new episode will be tomorrow night there in the US. But this past week's episode was called Through the Valley of Death. It was episode 12 of this first season of Superman and Lois. And our reviewer, Neil Bailey, loved it. He gave it a 4 out of 5 rating. Now, you're going to tell me you didn't like it, Michael?
No, I liked it. I liked it too, and here's why. Even though the pacing was really fast, I thought the resolution was done well. I mean, I love Diggle coming in and basically looking at Sam Lane and going, "What are you doing? You can't kill Superman." I mean. And I liked, that it hinted that Diggle and Lois and all of them have worked together before, not just during the crossovers. I got more of a sense of a history. It was nice watching John Henry kind of come around, wait for them to put that S on that suit of armor, maybe a cape. My co-hosts over on the Superman and Lois tapes disagree with me. That's fine. I like capes. No, I enjoyed it. I thought Zod was an interesting direction to go in, especially since before the crisis, this Superman killed Zod. They revealed that in the season finale of season 2 of Supergirl, when they just offhandedly said, "Yeah, well, Superman's seeing Zod, but he killed him." So it's just, there's so many Kryptonians you can use. I think Zod was chosen just because that's one the audience would recognize.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think Zod is gone? Because they were hinting that once you've fought off a particular personality of Kryptonian, that it's gone, or do you think that Edge is gonna somehow be taken over by the Zod personality?
I don't know. Again, when we did the episode last week, Bethany, one of my co-hosts, was suggesting that Edge may not be alone in his own head. That would be weird, because Edge was the agent sent to Earth to do all this. Why would you put Kryptonian personalities in him? I don't know what they're going to do. We've had 2 episodes in a row that feel like season finales.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing, because they're throwing everything on the table. And I remember last week's, it was either on Facebook or Twitter, someone was like, "Man, I wouldn't have done this till season 2 or 3. And I'm like, bold of you to assume that they're going to get there. I mean, they're getting to season 2, but we don't know what's going to happen with COVID, with the shakeup at Warner Brothers, it getting bought out again. I mean, there's like 50 million things that could happen. I would throw everything onto the table as well. I would take all my shots and just figure it out later if I had to.
So a couple of questions coming through thick and fast on the in the comments. No, John, Morgan Edge father is Morgan Edge father General Zod? No, Morgan Edge's dad, or whatever, Tal-Ro, is that his Tal, whatever?
Tal-Ro is Morgan, I forget, Zeta-Ro.
Zeta-Ro is Morgan, is Tal-Ro's father, which is Morgan Edge's been taken over by him, or he's becoming him, or whatever the case is. What does Tal-Ro want with Zod? He's trying to put him into Superman's body, just like he put other Kryptonians into Smallville people's body. So they're just trying to create more Kryptonians here on Earth. That was his plan, to take over, and the Eradicator to do that is the tool for him to do that. Now, this whole situation with Tal-Rho and his growing up here on Earth, and where were his powers? I had a question on Twitter, was like, how on earth was Tal-Rho captured and contained for all of his life if he has full Kryptonian powers?
It seemed like when they captured him, and I'm assuming that it takes a while for the powers to fully manifest, that they kept him out of sunlight. They kept him underground, and it was only when he was exposed to the sunlight through the window that he
was able to manifest his powers more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so
that's kind of similar to what they did with what was that series where
Flashpoint?
Flashpoint, yeah. The Flashpoint Superman was this skinny, scrawny kid who'd never seen the sunlight, and that's how they kept him depowered. So kind of similar kind of concept to that. Yes, he had his heat vision initially when he first came out, but look, so did Jordan when he first discovered he had power.
Yeah.
It was not something he could control, and yet and not something he could necessarily manifest time after time. But I was interested in this episode, the way that Jonathan and Jordan work together Jonathan's becoming a hero in his own right, and is really being the backbone of the family in enabling Jordan to believe in himself, that he could focus on his hearing to be able to spot the location to find his father. I thought that was a really powerful scene. I do want to comment that the accent that he heard when he thought it was either Australian or New Zealand was definitely New Zealand accent.
Y'all are so sensitive about that.
You couldn't tell the difference. I'm here to tell you the difference.
No, there is a difference, and I actually can kind of hear the difference, and that's just because I've now had so many friends who are Australian that we had this cleaning crew come in, and the woman that was like the head of it that we were talking to, I was just like, "Are you from New Zealand?" And she's like, "How did you know that?" I go, "It's your accent." She's like, "Most people think Australian." I go, "No, it's the way certain words are pronounced. It's subtle."
Yeah. Although, it's not easily if you're not trained to the difference. I mean, they say six.
Yeah. Reminds me of a video I saw. I don't need to get into this. So it was basically Americans trying to come live in Australia, and it's just like, what does the footy mean? It's time to drink.
So, no, I thought this episode was really powerful, the way that Superman was able to overcome the Zod personality. I thought that was really well brought out. I love the fact that John Henry Irons has really, made that turn that corner to becoming a trusted confidant, with Lois having to, tell him the reason behind why Superman wouldn't turn, is the fact that he's not just Clark Kent, but he's her husband.
Best part of that is like, yeah, I hear you. I'm still going to go kill him. Yeah. He was not swayed until the very end. Yeah. And it was what I liked and what I thought was kind of neat is the fight they had with Edge in space mirrored the fight they had in the pilot. Right to going into space, hitting him, and him falling to that rock quarry area. It was a perfect mirror to it. And my other favorite part of the episode is he's telling this really dramatic story of how he developed this missile. And he's just like, I launched it, and then the crisis happened, and everyone looks at him like, so wait, you don't know if it worked? It worked. It's like, no, you don't know if it worked.
Very true. All right, so the next episode is episode 13, and it's titled Failsafe. Here is the promo trailer for this next episode, titled Failsafe.
I felt what it was like to let go.
You should be a god.
It felt really good. That feeling worries me.
They fear you.
Your heart is stronger than your mind.
You are just like me!
So there you have it. That was the episode trailer for the 13th episode of Season 1 of Superman and Lois, titled Failsafe. Yeah, some pretty powerful scenes there, and we're edging towards the finale.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, they just keep giving more and more. I'm not really. I mean, I have a feeling that this next episode is going to be comparatively more quiet and kind of an examination of what Clark went through, which I really like. It seems like they're wanting to talk about it. And then that's going to ramp up to the last 2 episodes where it gets like everything gets real again.
The calm before the storm.
All
right, so that was the trailer for the 13th episode. We're going to take a quick break. We're at the halfway point of tonight's show. And then we're going to come back after these messages to talk about the Season 3 trailer for Titans, which is coming to HBO Max in August. And we're going to be talking comic book solicitations, latest comic books, and so much more. Stick with us. We'll be back right after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying WGBS TV Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program. Just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by visiting patreon.com/Superman homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Coming from the farthest reaches of the universe to challenge the worst villains on Earth are the most powerful heroes ever in the battle of the Superpowers Collection. Can it be the Supermobile on the attack, the Lexor 7 armed with kryptonite? Will the Supermobile repel those deadly rays?
You bet. Ready for battle. Activate RAM.
New from Kenner's Superpowers Collection. Vehicles and figures with power action, each sold separately. Flying lessons for Penguin, fish bait for Luther. Can the Supermobile defeat the Lexor 7? You decide.
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, where some of the people in our comments are discussing, quickly finishing up on the Superman and Lois discussion, that there is one more break after next or tomorrow night's episode. I believe it's a 1 week break, and then or 2 weeks, and then they come back with final episodes, the last 2 episodes of the season. So yes, there is a little bit of a break before the 2 episodes that will finish off the season. All right, as I mentioned before the break, the official trailer for Season 3 of Titans was released by DC and HBO Max this past week. Take a look at it. Here it is, the official trailer for Season 3.
I was out here all alone once. Bruce made me go out into the forest by myself for the first time. I had no idea what was out there.
You were just a boy. Those were the lessons that he taught you. Bruce was a psychopath, using fear to control everyone. You need to make sure that this doesn't happen to someone else.
Batman's ally was found dead tonight.
It's over for me.
Be a better Batman.
Barbara?
Welcome back to Gotham, Dick.
Batman's gone. Gotham. It's mine now.
We're investigating this new Red Hood case.
Bruce, he said, be a better Batman. The Titans got this.
You know how crazy that is, right? Trying to step into your father's shoes.
I do, Commissioner Gordon.
The whole world is turned upside down.
I think I'm losing my mind.
If you're gonna dove, I'm gonna hawk. We need to stop him.
For cases like these, we've been using a consultant. Scarecrow.
Dr. Crane?
Dick Grayson. Red Hood is a biblical brother. The king moves stealthily in the shadows while the pawns are sent to the teeth of destruction. It's just his opening move.
Where I come from? You come after family? We show no mercy.
There you have it. Titans returning on August 12th to HBO Max. Red Hood. A lot of the comments in the questions, fans saying, I don't know how it made it to season 3. I actually didn't mind seasons 1 and 2. I thought it's been pretty good. It is very violent, but I'm not a big fan of the Titans in the comic book form. I've never read many of the Titans books, so I'm probably not as I'm not finding any problems for me because I don't know necessarily the comic book origins of these characters to compare it against. And I guess that's the freedom that they have, that they don't have to be beholden to the comic book exact origins. People are complaining that this is not the way Red Hood came about or what have you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a modified version of it, using this universe as this universe's continuity as a springboard for it. You wouldn't have, I mean, they didn't kill Jason in the traditional sense of him dying and then years later coming back as the Red Hood. So it's just, and we got a sneak peek of Tim Drake in that trailer, which I thought was really cool. Barbara Gordon's in a wheelchair, very surprising. And I like the characters. I don't always like what they do with the characters, but I like these versions of the characters. I think they're really compelling, and I think that's why it's gone to season 3.
Yeah, and we've got more Connor and more Crypto to look forward to.
Yep. Yay, Connor and Crypto.
So yeah, season 3 of Titans on Thursday, August 12th on HBO Max. Looking forward to it. All right, let's look to the comic books. So actually, let's do the fan favorite segment of our show. Let's go with that. Here is our intro. All right, our fan favorite question from last week was, what are your favorite Superman socks? So yeah, we're getting into your wardrobe, getting into your sock drawer to find what your favorite Superman socks are. Who did we have responses from this week, Michael?
First up is Robbie Eleanor, who wrote, "Hey guys, I have a bit of a collection going on here with Superman-related socks. So here they are, 2 pairs of Justice League socks gifted to me by my girlfriend's parents, and 2 of Just Soup's pairs given to me by my lovely girlfriend. The pair along with the bottom being my favorite. Hope you're having a super day."
Good. Excellent. Thank you, Robbie. Next up, we had a response from JP Rocha, who said, "I only have 1 pair of Superman socks." Where are they? Where's JP's? Or did I? Don't seem to have JP's up there, but unfortunately, I only have 1 pair of Superman socks. Got them at the GameStop, the Jim Lee collection. So of course, a new 52 design with red eyes. Let me see.
Of course.
I've got JP's.
It's got to be the angry red eyes of anger, or Jim Lee doesn't know how to draw the character.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, JP. I seem to have misplaced your image, so but I thank you for sending in your response. Next up.
Nair wrote Kavura, and God, that's going to get embarrassing in 2 days. Loves the socks that she got from the Huntsville Comic and Pop Expo. She wears them with her Superman jammies.
Yeah, that's nice socks there. Thank you very much. Next up, we had a photo from Ollie, who sent in this photo simply saying, "My socks."
So, I don't have any Superman socks because I have to wear certain kinds of socks for my own comfort. But my wife has what we describe as a sock problem. She has so many socks, like socks with capes, socks of Nightmare Before Christmas, socks of Marvel, DC. But what I was able to dig up just to have something, which hopefully is just one of her more basic pairs, which just has the symbol on it. So it's her favorite type. It's the knee length. So she can wear it with her boots.
Very cool. Yeah, these are a couple that I've grabbed from my drawer. Both very similar, and that's just the symbol with Superman above it. Yeah, just two different pairs there that are currently in circulation. Have had so many over the years that they end up getting holes in them, and they end up having to throw them away or give them to Goodwill.
Those are neat. I like the black ones especially.
Very cool. So, yeah, thank you to everyone who sent in those responses to our fan favorite segment. What is our new question for this week, Michael?
This is a good one. What is your favorite Superman Blu-ray or DVD cover or packaging? I think we should extend that also to VHS, just in case somebody... Yeah, just any kind of home...
Video release?
Home video release. God, it's not going to be those 2001 DVDs. I was sure happy to get them, but that is an ugly, ugly set.
Yeah, and there have been some great steelbook variants out there from locations. So, yeah, get involved. Let us know what your favorite Superman Blu-ray, DVD, or VHS cover or packaging is. There is the email address right there on your bottom of your screen, info@supermanhomepage.com. Send us your photos. Show us the packaging, the covers, and we'll feature them here when we return to this segment next week. All right. Yeah, let's move on to This Week in History, Michael, because it's a really interesting week looking back.
Yeah, it really is.
Week in the world of Superman. Here is your intro.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bars of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
All right. We are starting with 1941 with Action Comics number 40, which has Superman punching a Nazi tank. This came out on July 22nd. Really like this cover. The Superman story was The Reformation of Nancy Torgensen. This issue also contained a 3-page ad for the Star-Spangled Kid, also co-created by Jerry Siegel. Jumping ahead to 1951, we have Action Comics number 160, which has an old woman pestering Superman. Wait, Superman, you forgot your... I'm not going to read that. Because that has a different context today. But it's Superman's Aunt Minerva, which is kind of fun. Also that year, you had Adventure Comics number 168, The Boy Who Outsmarted Superboy. That is a really cool story. That's Lana Lang's brother, who you never hear from again. But yeah, that's a favorite of a friend of mine named Bob Fisher. Jumping ahead to 1971, because 1961 didn't have anything, we have Justice League of America number 92, which was one of the JLA-JSA crossovers. And you have Solomon Grundy, Want Pants 2, trying to pull a Bane on Superman, apparently. Also, that same... The what?
25 cents.
Yep. That has an interesting story behind it that we don't have time for. Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 114, where Lois, wearing
next to nothing,
whatever she's wearing, is worried that Superman is falling for the Thorn. So, yeah, that seems like a cover to Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane. Jumping ahead to 1981, we have Action Comics number 524, which in addition to having an Adam Airwave story, we have the Superman story, If I Can't Be Clark Kent, Nobody Can, with an interesting Ross Andrew cover. Also in 1981, strap in, folks, we're going to be in this year for a while. We have Legion of Superheroes number 280, Oi Callback History, which was written by Roy Thomas. It's one of the, I think this is like one of the first times Superboy, I think, came back to the Legion after leaving for a while. Okay. New Adventures of Superboy number 22 with a Superboy story calling The Heroic Failures of Superboy, and Crypto, the Dog Detective of Smallville. That's got to be a really fun story. We also have Superman Family number 211, which features, if I'm correct there, the wedding of the Earth 2 Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle. I think that's what's going on that cover. Also, it looks like Lois Lane's getting menaced by Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back, Kotter. Also from that year, World's Finest number 272, which has a Superman-Batman story called Assault on the Fortress of Solitude. Jumping ahead to 1991, one of my favorite Dan Jurgens Superman comics ever, Superman number 59. This is where Superman and Lois get to fly away and have a conversation about their relationship now that they are engaged and that she knows he's Superman. I've always loved that issue. Jumping ahead to 2001, we have JLA number 55. Came the Pale Riders, which is part of Mark Waid and Brian Hitch's run. Also that same week, we had Superboy number 90, which was part of Our Worlds at War, as was, well, not this, actually, Superman Adventures number 59 was not part of that crossover, but it has a story called Ghost Flowers. But Superman, the Man of Steel, number 116 was part of the Our Worlds at War All-Out War. Finally, in 2011, we have Supergirl number 66. This Is Not My Life Part 2. And we had Superman Batman number 86, The Secret Part 2, which has a really creepy cover of a literal Batman. That's kind of interesting. Kind of fascinated by that. In the real world, if there is anything, oh yeah, there is a Terrence Stamp, General Zod, and Superman 2 was born in 1938. I didn't know he was Superman's age. And on is July 25th. No, that's the only one for this week. So that's This Week in History.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Really fascinating to look back at some of those covers and comics from on eras. And in this week that just passed, we had finally the release of Action Comics Annual 2021 number 1, which was an interesting story, Tales of the House of Elle, which was a very futuristic look at where the ancestors and descendants of Superman end up, and some of their adventures and what's going on there. An interesting read, and not necessarily what I'm used to in an annual, but yeah, it felt more like one of those possible future tales. The ones that we recently got, what were they called? The recent
Future State.
Yeah, it was very much in the tone of those type of stories. But nevertheless, not a bad read, and I know a lot of people enjoyed it. But you might want to check that out if you haven't. Action Comics Annual number 2020 or 2021 number 1 was just released this week, and there is the cover on your screen as we speak. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely check it out. Philip Kennedy Johnson wrote this particular story. But did you end up reading that one, Michael? Or you haven't got
No, I haven't yet, which is odd because I really liked that Future State special. So I'll probably check that out at some point. But actually, given that we're about to talk about the solicitations, I don't know, the upcoming thing in Action Comics looks really cool.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at the October solicitations that were released this week by DC Comics. And there right now is the cover to Action Comics 1036, variant cover to Action Comics 1036 by Julian Totino Tedesco. It reads, the Warworld saga begins. After learning of an enslaved race with mysterious ties to Krypton, Superman and the Authority travel across the galaxy to dethrone the new Mongol and liberate Warworld. Introducing new characters in a new corner of the DC Universe, the biggest Superman event since the death and return of Superman begins here. Don't buy it.
That's right, and a lot of checks that I don't know if this story is going to cash.
That is a big claim.
No, but it looks good. I'm probably not going to read it as it comes out, but when that gets traded, I'll probably check it out, because that does sound like a cool idea.
And also coming out in October is, and this is another cover for Superman, Son of Kal-El #4. Kal-El has left, and the weight of the world now rests on his son's shoulders. Powerful forces have been threatened by John Kent's first leaps in his father's boots. It's hard to hurt a man of steel, but his loved ones make a much easier target. John's world is about to come crashing down. And it looks like someone's attacked the Kent farmhouse.
Yeah, I thought they had a force field over that. Or a cloaking device.
Something along those lines. But yeah, so we'll look forward to reading comics as they come out in October. And also in that was, I don't know if we mentioned this last week, we might have. If not, we're mentioning it here now. DC versus Vampires. Are they like losing ideas?
Yeah, that sounds like the placeholder title just got ported over to being the title of the story.
Well, now in this particular issue, it's the first issue. The Justice League has long protected Earth from all manner of foreign and alien invaders over the years, always keeping a vigilant eye to the skies for the next threat. But what if the threat was already walking the Earth, hiding in plain sight, watching, waiting for their moment to strike? In a tradition of Deceased comes a terrifying new series from the twisted minds of James Tynion IV, Matthew Rosenberg, and Otto Schmidt that will tear the Justice League apart in their war with the undead.
I don't know. Deceased was kind of popular, so
it was. So yeah, why not milk the cow that's there?
This reminds me though of that Superman and Batman versus Vampires and Werewolves miniseries. Cool. That wow, did that turn out to not be good? But it's just like, so what are we gonna call it? Well, for right now, let's just call it DC versus Vampires. And then we'll come up with something, and then it's just like the last minute. Screw it, use that.
Yeah, can't think of anything better. But Deceased was good, and if you haven't read it, give it a read. But yeah, DC versus Vampires. I guess we'll wait and make our judgment once we've read it, if we decide to. So yeah, depending on how much Superman's involved, we will keep an eye on that one for you if you're not sure. But taking a look at what is available this week, here is what you can read, and it's a pretty big week for Superman fans in the world of comic books. Here is what's available for release July 20th. We have Justice League number 65, which is available in this variant cover right there. Also available this week is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow number 2, which is also available in a variant cover. Then Superman and the Authority number 1, I think it's 1 of 4, this miniseries by Grant Morrison, and that's also available in a variant cover, and this black and white variant cover. Then we have Superman Red and Blue number 5 available this week, and that's also available in 2 variant covers. This one, which is the background behind me on this very episode, and this variant cover, which makes up part of the background of our website. And then in the collected side of things, we have Superman Man of Tomorrow Volume 1, Hero of Metropolis trade paperback. And that is what's available this week in the world of comic books.
Yeah, I think I'm going to... Again, Superman and the Authority actually has me interested. I just don't know if I... It's going to make me sound so cheap. I don't know if I want to buy it issue by issue when I know that the trade is going to come out, and about 6 months after the trade comes out, it's going to be like $6 on Comixology during a sale, and I may just want to wait for that.
I can understand the thinking behind that, and I'm not sure how DC feel about Superman the Authority because they've taken some feedback from retailers in regards to the publishing schedule for Superman and the Authority, which was supposed to come out on a more regular basis. But now they've decided to delay subsequent issues, allowing retailers to gauge customer response and if they need to then finalize their orders for future issues. So Superman and the Authority, as we know, will be released tomorrow, July 20th, as planned. Issue number 2 will now be released on August 17th. It was originally going to be August 3rd. Issue number 3 will be out September 14th instead of August 17th. And the 4th and final issue will be released on September 28th, originally September 7th. So they have spaced out the time in between the publication of these issues.
That's interesting. I'm not sure the thinking there. But I mean, you explained it, but I'm still not sure the thinking there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, obviously there is some concerns, I guess, from retailers about being able to, whether it's going to be super popular, order enough issues in, and the previous plan for the publications were so close that they wouldn't be able to order more in time for the next issue to come out. And if it's not as popular, then be able to return them, I guess. But I'm guessing it's going to be very popular by the sounds of, the amount of people I've heard who are keen on this particular series.
It looks really good. That cover really sells it.
Mm. And it was interesting this week because artist Mikel Janin has provided some concept designs that were going to be used or as part of the process for creating the designs for Superman in Superman and the Authority. Obviously, the symbol that's being used is very reminiscent of the Kingdom Come Superman costume. At one point in time, he was looking at using the entire Kingdom Come costume with the black belt and the full costume there. In some other designs, it was a totally grey or black costume with or without cape, sometimes with his hair. In the design that they've chosen to go with, he has grey hair at the temples, but there were ideas of him having totally grey hair and even maybe a bit of a beard stubble of grey hair. So some interesting concept designs there on your screen right now.
Yeah, no, I don't really care for the grey ones, but the variants of the Kingdom Come costume are kind of interesting.
Yeah, and there's some more designs there that Mikel played with, and concepts for Clark Kent as well, with the baseball cap and sunglasses.
I like that.
Definitely a good disguise. So yeah, some interesting designs shared by him on his Twitter account this week, showing us some of the concept designs for the costumes and look for the character that didn't make the final cut of what they decided to go with. Always interesting to see how they work, the process that they'd work to getting these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Before we do sign off, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to WGBS TV Live for tonight's episode. Thank you for those who participated in the comments, and thank you to those who gave us some super chats, John Patrick Van Pelt especially. So thank you to you, my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey, as well.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. Now remember, if you'd like to support the Superman homepage, you can head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, or you can click the join button below right there on YouTube. But Michael and I will be back next week for another edition of WGBS TV Live. We hope you'll join us then. We'll be back on Monday, July 26th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. We look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. Now don't forget, the complete 1-hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our YouTube channel. If you missed part of the show or you want to check it out in full again, you'll be able to watch it at those two locations. But for now, I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.